Well. Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. It is a beautiful Sunday morning over here in Helsinki, Finland. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Mother of Bitcoin, well, we got plenty to talk about as Bitcoin's taking another massive leap up in the overnight session. And with that said, of course, as always, wish you the best, the most restful of restful and relaxation of weekends that I could ever wish you in a good old cryptocurrency life. Until next week, where I'll wish you an even happier and more restful and what else do we say? Best of the best. Anyways, with that said, let's get into live scene. We got plenty to talk about here, and because it is a Sunday, we will be talking about long-term analysis. And let's start off with the daily right over here. And of course, always like to start off with this sound bit. Hey, this is why you use moving averages. We got the golden cross right over here about a month ago in late April, getting the green 55 and the purple 200 exponential moving average crossing the upside. They've been gaining momentum away from each other ever since, getting above all major moving averages. To me, that is always going to be a massively bullish setup. But with this last leg, this last leg was just incredibly intense. So overall, I don't want to insinuate that I expect a reaction like this each and every time. This is quite a powerful reaction. This is certainly a strong reaction, which does tell us that we have a lot of new things to consider actually from higher time frame perspectives. Anyways, while we are here, I want to keep a keen eye on this. The green 55, when that actually crosses above the blue 377 exponential moving average, this is likely to take on a little bit more of a longer term turn actually as all of the wheels start, going in motion. To me, if we actually get that cross above and over, then Bitcoin likely sets up a massive base right around this 5,400-ish level. So even if Bitcoin does have a very prominent pullback, I would be looking for massive support in that area just from a higher time frame perspective. Of course, Bitcoin's, $2,000 away from this area right now. It's nowhere fucking near is my point. But we're seeing all these moving averages essentially migrate with the lower periods above higher periods. And that's just a general bullish setup. So I wanted to just kind of spend some time here just because you can allow trading to be as easy for yourself as you allow it to be. And this is one of the beautiful ways of doing it. Getting a golden cross right over here above all major moving, or above the yellow 21 exponential moving average right over here, which is my first rule. That's the long rule. And then once we're above all major moving averages, just stay long for as long as you want, really, until we actually start breaking below the 10 simple. And overall, looking to me like Bitcoin is extremely powerful right now. Looking at daily Stokes, we still see daily Stokes actually still headed up, very strong. But overall, this is an area where they don't like to spend out too much, although, when I say that yesterday, Bitcoin was all the way down at 6,600. So we actually rallied another, almost $1,000 or about $800, I guess it would be $700 to $800. Even with that position. So during these last sort of, airs of these very intense rallies, they get typically very violent. And that's what I believe that we're seeing right now. In fact, yesterday on a Saturday, we did about let's go to BitMexico. We did about almost 8 billion in a Saturday. So that is incredibly impressive. We have not seen that sort of volume on a Saturday or on a weekend to begin with, or just any day. In a very maybe Jesus Christ, maybe really ever. So that is really impressive, and does tell me that's overall likely we are seeing the kind of changing of tides right now. Anyways, going back down into the lower time frames, as I do want to talk about what's going on in the more recent price action, we do see Bitcoin essentially just flagging out once again right over here, but I do believe that we are going to be putting in a top relatively soon. Looking at our lower time frame oscillators, we actually do see hourly Stokes. These are going to be bullish once again. You do notice that yesterday we actually did break this trend line right here, but that's okay. That did lead on into the first major pullback, I believe, in the early morning hours down to that 6,900 tick, but right now not too relevant, and I would be looking for a little bit of resistance if we do pop back up into that region. We do have some bearish divergence to deal with on the hourly RSI as well, but overall, do not underestimate what these last sort of attempts can get towards. However, going over here, and what I really want to focus on is the higher time frames now, because this is a Sunday, so we'll be talking about longer term, higher term time frame ideas, and I want to bring it over here to the BLX index and briefly describe what's going on. Let me get rid of all this, go all the way back on out. This is a 3-day total time frame, and let's see. Okay, so Let me actually start with the weekly, as it's just going to make more sense here. I want to first describe this. All of these dotted trend lines and explain them. They are support trend lines for parabolic market cycles, each and every one in Bitcoin's history. Starting off with this first one anchored in 2010 and 2011, gets broken in 2012, and that becomes the parabolic highs of our 2013 and 2014 market cycle right over here. Then we create another support trend line for this next parabolic market cycle, anchored in 2011 and 2013 right over here, gets broken in 2015 on the massive capitulation dildo right over here, and that becomes the highs of our 2017 and 2018 market cycle right over here. Then we create another support trend line for this past parabolic market cycle, anchored in 2015 and 2016 right over here. We broke that on the way down from 6,000 to 4,000, also breaking the 200 exponential moving average on the same attempt. And does that become our grinding highs for the next cycle? Well, let's see. We're actually there right here, right now. In fact, that is the impetus for resistance, and I have not changed this chart in a very long time. I made this chart maybe like a couple months ago, two or 3 months ago, and this actually still working. Now I'm on a 3-day little time frame, so not only have we hit this resistance trend line, but we're actually dealing with this white 200 simple moving average. So to me, I'm actually looking to likely scale into a little bit of a short here for a longer term position. Now, again, when I say longer term position, I mean, I'm basically going to be targeting, more impressive trade, I suppose you could say. It does feel like it's perhaps one of those setups that you get very, very rarely. Overall, though, am I bearish off this? I mean, it's not that I'm bearish. It's hard to be bearish off something that looks like this. It's just, looking for a massive pullback, I believe, is the next big trade, not necessarily, a continuation of long trade. The only way that I get bullish here from this area, and sorry, let me really synthesize this down. The only way that I get bullish, like more immediately, rather than looking for a pullback, is if we actually close this 3-day dildo above the 200 simple moving average, which is going to be closing later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, along with the weekly. But more importantly, it's the 3-day that I have my eyes on. So this action right here, I would be looking for the 3-day dildo to close below the 200 simple and to hold this trade, and then I would be probably targeting somewhere down around the mid to low 6,000s. For a pullback. But right now, this is a major setup emerging, because if we actually do close the 3-day dildo above this 200 simple moving average, then I will look for continuation actually much higher, probably towards 8,000 actually. I mean, maybe 8,200 is the next major area that I'd be looking at. If we go over here to our BitMexican chart, I'm not going to have all of the lines on over here, but we can mark off the next major resistances, which is going to be right over here. And you do see that currently we are kind of stuck at the highs from early September on this swing high. So the fact is that Bitcoin actually did make a slightly higher high on this run over here than we did on the high of this guy right over here, getting to 74.40. And on this one, we got 71.5. So looking pretty good. Actually did make a little bit of a higher high there. Although if we do close the 3-day dildo above this 200 simple, I will be looking, like I said, for continuation onto the 8,000-ish level. 8,200 actually becomes extremely likely. So that's what's at stake right now. And this is why I'm taking the trade right here, because I know that if this trade actually does not go in my favor, I can flip long and have a pretty damn good long trade on my hands. And because I'm entering in like very, very close to the risk management area that I'll be having, well, that makes it a lot more, mitigating the actual risk portion, allocated to this trade. So again, because I have these things in my favor, I'm happy to take this trade, and I know that either which way that it kind of lands on later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, there's a way to manage this or to just hold on. So with that said, I'm actually going to go back down into the lower time frame, see what we're doing right now. Yeah, it's actually getting a little bit more intense here, but I will scale in a little bit. I don't have too much of a position right now. Let's get on to the June futures. I want to do this on the Junes. I'll sell 30,000 right here. And let's see. What's the market trading at? 21? Okay. Let's just do some like that. How many people are? All right. Well, you can see that the books are not too thick here. But overall, to me, I'm pretty comfortable with that. Do we get a little bit of a try higher here? Do we even make a higher high over our current high? Yeah, very possible. Very, very possible. But remember, this trade is to be decided at the end of the day. So at the end of the day, again, if we close above the 200 simple in the 3-day digital time frame, I am going to flip long, and I'll put on a pretty big long trade, targeting once again, 88,000 to 8,200 ish area. Well, it's going to be three targets. It's going to be 7,800 to 8,000, and then 8,200. So 78, 8,000, 8,200. If we do close below the 200 simple, which let me just remind you is currently sitting at 70.72, then I will be looking for a pullback, likely into the mid 6,000s. But the target selection would be some like 68, 65, and then maybe like 64-ish area. But here's the thing. Look at this. CME closed on Friday at 62.90. So there's going to be a massive gap, assuming that, we don't have a, let me actually just, let me get a little bit of this. And come on, baby. Show me the way. Can I get a little bit? Nope. Yes, there we go. All right. Got 10. Wow. Fucking great. But here's the thing. CME closed 62.90 on Friday, right? They're going to open up later tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And when they open up, there's going to be a massive, massive gap, assuming that, we don't have about $1,000 move down in the meantime between it now and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So there will be kind of like a little bit of a magnet factor going on with this as well. So even at the very least, I would be looking for a decent pullback just based off of that. Also on top of that, we do have the weekly Bollinger Bands, which I'll bring up over here, which we've been following on spot charts as well. And looking at this, whoops, wrong time frame. Let's go to a weekly. Here we go. So looking at this, we do see that the top of we have been trending outside the top weekly Bollinger Band, right? And if you're familiar with Bollinger Bands, typically you want to see when you see a very strong trending move, you want to see those dildos being closed outside, testing the outside band, and then rallying from it or dropping from it in the case of a downtrend right over here. Well, anyways, right now we're currently in an uptrend, so the top Bollinger Band right now is right at 6,300. 6,300, which, hold on, that came up really fucking fast. Holy shit. What's crazy about this is this was actually about 5,900 yesterday, so it just rose $300. Now, of course, we had a massive rally as well, but just give you an idea of where this likely is going to be. If we close anywhere around 7,000, I imagine the next tick on this is actually going to be somewhere around 64 to 6,500, which would make sense because that's kind of around where CME's closed as well. So I'd like to see the confluences between those two things, and that will also be like kind of a magnet with regards to the Bollinger Bands from a weekly digital time frame perspective, that at some point in time we likely will come back and test the top Bollinger Band, which again, depending upon where we close today, probably, if I had to have a guess at it, would be anywhere between 63 and 6,500. So that would also kind of encompass these targets. Obviously, the higher that we close up today, the more and more bullish that it gets. Looking at our oscillators right here while we're on the weekly, we do see weekly Stochs still headed up. We see weekly RSI actually getting above the critical bullish zone. So again, a little bit more of a warning sign, just because this has been straight up. I mean, I have not seen an RSI like this in a very long time. It does happen. It certainly does happen. You can see it on, you can actually even see it in the past on Bitcoin. It certainly does happen, but the actual extension of these things, typically not, around this time is when it starts to get a little bit too much. So right here we have about 106% move just done in pretty much one go. We had about 100% move right over here in one go. Yeah, I'm going to have about the same right over here. It's going to be like this. Yeah, about 80%. Yeah, so this one actually overshadowing those past two. Let's see, I probably did just get filled on both those. Oh, well, of course you got to refresh. There we go. I'm getting filled on my higher one now as well. So again, I actually won't make any changes to this in the intraday. I mean, unless we have something like just incredibly crazy happen. The only way that I'll really change this is by the close at later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. If we close again above the 200 simple on the 3-day, then I am out of this trade and flipping long. And I'm happy to allocate some extra risk to this, just because I actually am entering in well above, while price action is still well above the 200 simple right here. So I would be looking for that to be a magnet for price action coming into later into the day. And we'll be scaling to this position overall, just because it's going to be very sloppy. As you can see, Bitcoin's rallying around right now, and it actually looks like it wants to test the prior high once again. At which point I'll probably end up just adding a little bit more maybe around 7,500. Again, it doesn't need to be too exact, but this is going to be a little bit more a potential for a long-term trade. I'll put it there. A little bit more of a long-term trade, I suppose you could say. Anyways, only 50,000 contracts up right now, so not, I'll be scaling into likely more later on as the day progresses. Anyways, okay, so I'm curious what the very low time frames look like here. Just out of curiosity, yeah, this has just been constructive the whole way through. Yesterday when I was looking at the price action, it's correct that it's true that I was not. My opinion was certainly wrong. My opinion was that we probably weren't going to rally too much higher from this area. But at the end of the stream, at the end of the video, we realized that hey, this looks like it actually wants to go a little bit more. Anyways, with that said, that's pretty much Bitcoin from a TA perspective. But let's talk about some more long-term analysis now. Actually, before we get into that, let's look at the longs and shorts. We're starting to really see a lot of these shorts let go of their positions. That also tells me that probably getting closer to the end of this run, we have about 26,500 open shorts versus 22.25 open longs. We have, oh my God, only 1,000 of these guys hedged now, so it's really 25,000 open naked shorts versus 22.25 open longs. That's a pretty damn good imbalance. Still, but more importantly, we are seeing a massive increase in longs. As you'd imagine, we increased the longs by about 4,000 yesterday. Sorry, almost 5,000. They are getting, they are getting excited once again, as they should be. And then shorts are falling off a fucking cliff. And this is the first thing that we've really been looking for. And this tells me that people are finally letting go of their positions, and now we can really start to look for, potential a preeminent top on this rally. As people let go of their short positions, because this was really the rocket fuel for the rally, just forcing these guys out of their positions. When you have so many people short, the market's just not going to fucking hand over the money to them like a fucking bank teller, right? You got to make it more difficult, and overall, there's just more money to be made by running this thing up and liquidating all these people, forcing it up even more, as that just that forces all these people to either buy via liquidation or risk management if they're a little bit more proactive, and now we're actually seeing them, starting to finally come down. So these are all the people who got in, to try to short, be the geniuses shorting right around the 22nd of April, when Bitcoin was at the 5,400-ish level, grinding the 50 simple moving average on the weekly, right, which everyone was going crazy about. But of course, when we have a setup like this, now is extremely likely to break up to the upside, and now we're just seeing it follow through even more. In fact, this last day, this last day does make me think that I actually might be wrong in this trade. The volume done on that last day was very impressive, very, very impressive, especially for a Saturday. Jesus Christ, that was one of the highest volume days that we've seen in maybe forever for Bit Mexico. Going back on over here, how much did we do? What did we do? What was it? That doesn't look right. That's because it's Coinbase. Let's go over here. Yeah, there we go. We see, almost 8 billion. And again, we see increasing volume to the upside, which is a very good signal as well. A very, very good signal. So overall, before we get into discussion of fundamentals in long-term analysis, I do want to show that from a higher time frame perspective, we are actually really starting to see Bitcoin from a technical analysis standpoint do the things that I want to see for what is starting to look a lot more like a reversal. Okay, so with that said, let's get on over into the good old price models, and we'll talk about this. And this is going off Woo Bull charts. Shout out to Willy Woo, fucking genius, and I'm just happy that we can actually use these. But overall, looking at all of these, and this is just a conglomeration of a bunch of different metrics going all the way from market, it's just a bunch of different mark caps and then MVT signals with different with differing moving averages on them. Doesn't need to don't need to understand all of them to understand what I'm about to say. And basically, when they converge on each other, that's when market lows have been found. You see the first one right over here in 2012. You see another one right over here in 2015, and right now you see, and this has been updated, you actually see all of these converging on each other. They are no longer diverging on each other, or sorry, no longer diverging away from each other. They're converging on each other, and that to me is what is actually a pretty damn big marker, because these things all should actually have interplay with the technicals as well. So they are a little bit more of a leading indicator, I suppose, as these start to really curl out right over here. Now that was around $4,000, yeah. And that's where I started to get long, right around 3,900. But again, my opinion at that time, and I'm sure that you can scroll back to those videos, my opinion was actually bearish, but I was taking bullish trades because, well, as I always like to say, I trade technical analysis, not my opinion. Anyways, I did want to show that. Let's also check out this. Let's go over here to our Bitcoin miners revenue, which has actually been perfect in the history of Bitcoin for calling all the lows. And if we go over here, just from an intuitive aspect, we can actually chart this out a little bit. And I'm just getting some messages on my phone. Yeah, looking like some big market sales, another 5 million down the drain. There you go. But overall, I'm gonna populate all of my all my drawing tools here. But basically, what I want to show is when you have a parabolic move on this, it sets in a support trend line that becomes a support for the next market cycle. So you have this first one right here, parabolic right here, sets in another one for this one right here, parabolic right here, sets another one for this one right here, and then same thing for a past one. Well, let's actually overlay this with price action and see how this is done. BLX. We need all of the histories. And let me just turn off my phone. And let's actually put this on log scale so it makes a little bit more sense. Where is it? Okay, there we go. Well, now it's a little bit too, yeah, okay, there we go. Okay, so remember, it is the miners revenue in the background with the dildos, and then the orange line chart is basically Bitcoin's price. And so when the miners revenue chart, puts in a base and retests these horizontals, that's when Bitcoin's putting in lows right here. Then you see another one right here, right? Between this point and this point. Okay, nice. Then we see another one right over here between this point and this point. Now we do grind this area out quite a bit, but overall, the low is hit once we hit that area. And then have we done this in 2018, 2019? Well, actually yes. Actually, yes. You can see right over here that Bitcoin did definitely come down and test it, and we've actually grounded out a little bit. Now, does that mean that this can't come back down and grind it out a little bit more? Well, of course it can, but my point is that, hey, from a fundamental perspective, this actually has been perfect, and it does make a lot of sense, to be quite honest with you. Let's also do this with something else, another metric. Actually, Bitcoin coming down, nice. Position already off to a good start. No, this is more of a long-term type thing. I'm not claiming victory on something like this right now. BLX. Let's put on. Now let's leave it on a daily, and I'm going to put on the Puel multiple, which is another fundamental indicator. And this, let's use one by Glitter Fund, and this is basically a moving average on it's a 365 moving average on the miners revenue chart, which is actually a little bit more precise in the history of Bitcoin. If I zoom it out a little bit more, let's see what we can get. And let's just kind of match it up. It's not going to, we need to get rid of that. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to bring up the Puel multiple, and you can see it's actually very simple. On the bottom in the green, that is where Bitcoin typically bottoms. On the red, that's where Bitcoin typically tops. You can see that the red portion is a lot more sloppy than the green portion. The green portion actually very precise, and if I zoom it in, it gets in even more so. So we have this first low being put in November 2011, and then again April 2012. Well, where was price action there? This was November 2011, and then April 2012 was right over here. As it's getting ready for a nice bull run. So calling these lows very beautifully. Then we have this area right over here. The next time that we get down into it is January 2015. Well, what was price action doing right there? It was putting in the lows of 2015, right? Then when's the next time that we actually touch it again? Actually, do we touch it? Yeah, we touch it again right actually before the turnaround in the actual bullish momentum as well. So once on the low and then once on the momentum turn. Then we go on over here, and what do we have? The next time that we touched it was when? Early December 2018. So actually this would suggest that the low is in as well. Another fundamental indicator suggesting that. Let's talk about a fundamental that is not suggesting that the low is in, but well, let's just look at it first before we say something like that. And let me just make sure that that's off over there. Make sure that I'm actually recording. Mic's working. Okay, good. All right, awesome. Actually, very happy about that because this video has already been long enough. Anyways, okay. So here's what we got. This is the Bitcoin network momentum, and it's basically looking into the value transmitted through the Bitcoin blockchain denominated in Bitcoin value plotted against Bitcoin's price. What does that basically mean? It's basically a leading indicator for Bitcoin bull markets. And the way that I kind of judge it is, yes, when you look at this brown oscillator in the background, we do see it gaining momentum, right? Higher low, higher low, higher high, higher high. But it's not until actually we break above these sort of horizontal areas right here where the bull market starts. So I'm measuring where where the bullish market began, or sorry, where the bullish momentum begins, and then I'm creating essentially a support trend line for the rest of that. So we start right over here, right, and then for the whole time since there, it's higher highs and higher lows all the way up here, until we put in until we break that trend by breaking this horizontal support line right over here, and that leads us into our bear market cycle where it's gaining negative momentum. It's lower lows and lower highs, right, and that goes all the way down over here. But look at this. When do you put in your low on Bitcoin? You put in your low on Bitcoin right here. And at that point, you've actually gotten back above that horizontal support that you were basing off of in the prior market cycle, and that's when the low is put in. And then once we actually get a little bit of momentum, then that's when that's when the bullish momentum begins once again, and we create another support trend line for this next parabolic market cycle. Basically started right over here during the uptrend momentum, all the way over here to beginning of 2018, and that's where that's where our horizontal is going to be. Well, once we break it, that's when bearish momentum begins, lower lows and lower highs all the way through. And here's the thing. Have we broken back above the horizontal here to denote the end? Well, I would say that, obviously it has not happened, but my point is that I would still be a little bit, from a fundamental perspective, it's not all roses. But this is also going to take its time, right? Because it's not just getting you the low, it's also getting you the momentum for the next cycle. So again, this one would be saying to be a little bit more cautious, but overall we are kind of heading that direction, right? You do see what looks to be our first our first higher low. And do we have a higher high on this one? Not quite just yet, but it's damn close, and it can happen. If it does happen, that's going to be like the first yellow light warning signal, and then after that, we're probably going to actually simultaneously take out this support trend line from the past market cycle as well, and that would fully confirm, in my opinion. So again, it's a little bit more of just me being neurotic about it, but you see what I'm saying, right? It's going to take its time. Anyways, back on to Bitcoin. What are we doing right now? Still hanging it high, still holding it high. Looks like it's actually going to try a little bit higher here as well. Let's go down to a very low time frame. This is a 15-minute. I don't think I've done a 15-minute on a weekend for. Shit, man. I think I used to do that in like the summer of last year. Been a long time, but yeah, Bitcoin's been a lot of fun to trade recently. We really haven't had this amount of like opportunity, day by day, for a long time. So it's been a beauty to see, and it sounds like a lot of people are really enjoying it as well. So hey, happy for you. Anyways, okay, so we spoke about CMEs, we spoke about spot, did we speak about GBTC? GBTC is going to have GBTC also is going to be, opening up in this, it closed this area on Friday. So again, it's going to have a massive gap when it opens back up tomorrow at when New York Stock Exchange opens. At 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Anyways, not too much else to say about GBTC. We do see weekly Stoke still up, again, kind of in the same area that's doesn't like to be in for too long. But remember, this is a weekly, so it has to be incorporated on a weekly time scale, which just by the nature of it takes fucking time. It's what I'm trying to say. Anyways, okay, cool. So let's get back on over into Bitcoin, and let's see. Okay, did we speak about? Yeah, let's bring up the volume profile. So volume profile was one of the big reasons why yesterday I was saying I don't believe that we actually do take this area out, but if we do take this area out, well, are we headed towards 7,400? Just basically the prior high as well, but you do see a little bit of more activity in the volume profile being done right here. So I'd imagine that the range from this perspective is going to be the more thick part of this volume profile, somewhere around the mid-ish to like 6,500 to 6,700-ish area on the volume profile right over here to the 7,400-ish area right over here. That's going to be the range, so to speak, for this next segment, I'd imagine. So, it'd be a buyer on the low side of the range and a seller on the high side of the range. But remember, hey, if the 3-day does take out my area, that supersedes everything. That is what I'm going off of. And again, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I do not suggest taking these sorts of trades. They can, you don't know where I'm managing. I mean, you kind of know where I'm managing risk, but you also don't know exactly how I'm going to be doing it. What happens if intraday we have a massive rip through? Well, in that case, I'm going to have to make some executive decisions. But for right now, I'll probably do it with options. Actually, I'll probably just put on some sort of a. What I'll probably do is I'll probably just buy some calls if that would happen. That's actually the real move right there. Do the synthetic put. Gonna be a fucked up synthetic put, but that's okay. Anyways, okay, so yeah, hourly right over here. Not too much else to say about it. In fact, we actually want to head back up on this one. Let's look at some medium time frames that we haven't really looked at these guys just yet. We see 4-hour Stokes actually headed back up as well. You know, it might be taking off this position early if we keep seeing on more on this, but I need to see the next close on these guys. I'm gonna wait for the next 4-hour close. If the next 4-hour close brings those Stokes back up, I probably will actually reposition higher, or maybe not reposition at all, because that's just going to signal some more strength. That was your 8-hour. 12-hour is going to be crossing down as well, but weak, very, very weak right here. And the 12-hour Stokes have been very good at getting price action. For the past couple of months, it's been the 12-hour and the 1-hour actually that have been extremely good. But we are starting to get a little bit more extended on the jewel, although this is not a sell signal at all. In fact, it's just getting very, very deep into this area, which it can get more deep. Historically speaking, though, doesn't like to get too much more than the 90 read. So we're currently at about an 88, and I'd imagine on the next tip we probably do actually hit that. Okay, so here's another thing that I want to talk about from a higher time frame perspective. It's a 3-day dildo time frame, which if we bring up the 3-day dildo jewel, we've been watching this for a while, right? In the 3-day jewel, we see the light blue oscillator ticking back up once again. And the reason why this is significant is because the more and more time that it's allowed to travel to the upside, the more and more time that Bitcoin can do more damage to the upside. So the more that I look at this, I might actually be taking off this. I might just take the scalp on this. I might just take the scalp on this just because the 3-day jewel is suggesting that we have a lot more to go, actually. I know I've done this a million times, so I don't want to bore you with the details, but typically when we signal red in the background, it calls about a 30 to 40% drop. Just doing a few out over here. That's 40% drop, 37% drop, 30% drop. You get the idea, right? I don't want to bore you with the details. 30% drop right over there. Well, going into the current area, we actually did not too long ago get a little bit of the red, but we didn't get too deep into the critical zone. In fact, on these past ones, when we were getting into the critical zone, we were getting much deeper into around the 88 to 90-ish read on this, and that was what was producing those 30 to 40% drop downs. Well, in this past one, we only got up to 82, and that drop down, while still significant, was nowhere near 20 to 30%. It was about almost 12%, which is, it's a far cry away, right? My point is that going all the way back on over here, and we can back test these guys. We actually have one other example of where it had a very similar read like this, where it just got very shallow in this area, signaled red, and actually did have about a 10% drop down right over here as well. Yeah, about a little bit more, 12%. But look at this. After that, it gets walked up by the pink. It gets picked up by the pink and then gets walked up into the way more critical zone, and that's when we set up for a very nasty downwards move, a correction of about 32.5%. So looking at Bitcoin right over here, you can see that if Bitcoin does pick up the pink and it gets walked up, it has a lot of room to roll before it actually does signal a major, major sell. So how much damage can be done on price action to the upside before that actually happens? I mean, shit, we're going to be getting a new 3-day dildo tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time, but that's still going to take at least like another few ticks to get into this range, if it is going to get in this range. And that, that's 3 days worth of price action for each and every tick. So that's, another week to week and a half. Well, and that would imply to the upside. I mean, shit, how much, where would that put us? I mean, that would probably put us around the 8,000 level. But like I said, I would be a little bit more, if we wanted to take off fully to the upside. Anyway, so like I said, I do want to be a little bit more careful in these regions because there is a significant potential for upside still. It's just, I think that right here, there's a decent enough trade setup, a very easily defined risk parameters for it, and I'm happy to take it. And you know what? The more that I look at this, and the more that I realize that it's not necessarily fully all said and done. I do think that this could very easily turn into just a scalp for myself. In fact, looking at the hourly, I mean, this looks like it wants to take another leg up right now. So currently I'm about $30 in profit. I think we're trading at 72.90 now on these June futures. I sold at 73.20. Okay, so I'll probably take a little bit of profit on those. But overall, you see my point, right? You see my point. So, okay. Anyways, going back on into let's talk about the other top shitcoins. Where's Mr. Buterol over here? Is Mr. Buterol hitting our target? Yes, I think it did. Ooh, I think it did. $200. There you go. 207 actually. Hey, not bad. Not bad at all. So again, this was a big thing for yesterday. You know, we've been looking at this for a while. And it was. I think it was quite obvious that Mr. Buteral was about to join the party, and join the party he has. So now, what I want to say is, when you see Bitcoin top and actually have a legitimate pullback, that's when the alts are likely to have their sort of party. And it's going to be led by Mr. Buteral. So him moving now is actually a very good sign. I'd expect you have Mrs. Litecoin next on the list, and Bcash and in the other top shitcoins. All these things are, they're going to move in terms of strength. So the strong move the first, and then the weakest move the last. But right now, Mr. Buteral showing a little bit of strength here, getting back above the $200 region. Weekly is very good as well. We said yesterday that the second that the weekly takes out, what was it? Like 169 and a half. No, it wasn't 169 and a half. It was like 178 and a half. That was when it was going to, likely move on into the $200 region. Well, we got that. And I do think that this one does try actually higher over time. This setup looks like it wants more. I'd say 217 is the next area to be looking towards. And then above there, I'd be looking at 250-ish area. Overall, this one looks like it wants to set up for a pretty damn powerful move. Let's put on our drawing tools. Let's actually measure this one out. Yeah, so I do have a measure move here from the bull flag, and it looks like we have hit that target actually perfectly. Look at that. Sometimes technical analysis actually works, but to me, this is likely to it's going to get reaccumulated here and try again higher. So that first pullback, just that, a pullback, I do think that it tries here again higher, to be clear. Let's go check out... So yeah, overall, Mr. Buteral, I'd be bullish. The base right now is 192 and a quarter. Yeah, overall looks fine to me. Looks like it wants more. Let's look at Mrs. Litecoin. Ooh, back in the $90 region again, as we spoke about. In fact, what's funny is we see actually U.S. dollar exchanges higher than Finex and Tether exchanges. Funnily enough. So yeah, this is Mrs. Litecoin right over here. Looks very similar to Mr. Buteral, a little bit less strong here, but overall, Mrs. Litecoin did move the first out of anything, and still above all major moving averages. I'm bullish here. It's the same thing as Bitcoin, right? Got the golden cross right over here. I mean, first actually, it moved first, and then regained all moving averages after a little bit of a consolidation. I do think that this one's ready to move much higher actually, back towards the prior highs. We already got that. So again, we spoke about that over the past week. That is likely to come back over to the low $90 region, and I do think that overall it does try higher. Here's the thing: look at the weekly Stokes. They've been heading down for the past 3-4 weeks. Well, price action's essentially been stagnant to actually up for the past 3-4 weeks. So to me, this is a bullish setup once again. Look at the weekly RSI coming back down, testing the exponential on it. This is what I really want to see Bitcoin do, to have like a healthy retracement, and then rallying off of that. And I do think that this one does try higher actually. 112 would be the next like major target. 110 to 112-ish area. Overall looks fine. Daily looks good. Looks like it wants continuation. Okay, cool. Let's go talk about the other top shitcoins. We got Cardano over here, and finally getting that bounce that we spoke about yesterday. Did we hit the? I said 1150 target on this one. We got to 1134. Close enough. But I do think that this one does try higher. This one's going to put in a major bounce here. I think that you put in a low here actually. Going off the weekly, weekly still bearish, but I do, from a weekly time frame perspective, this one can bounce up significantly. I'd be comfortable with calling a local low here, and that we're going to work much higher from this 1200 very likely, with a chance of 1300 over time. What's BNB doing? BNB catching wind of the market as well, rallying back up. Yep, back into this 20. What did we say? 21 and a quarter, 22 and a quarter. I said 22 and a quarter. We got to 22. And I do think that we're going to get to 22 and a quarter. And actually higher than that as well. Probably back up here, I'd imagine. Back up to about 22.90. So I do think that we've seen the correction in BNB. Good buying on yesterday's dildo. And today, I do think that we're going to see the daily Stokes confirm across the upside and march back up towards our upper resistance right around about $23. And I do think that this one probably does march on higher overall. Looking at the weekly, we're going to have a very good reaction off the red 10 simple. So this is what I was talking about yesterday and waiting for this. This reaction does kind of confirm that the bounce is real and that I do expect it to actually get higher. 4 hour. Yeah, 4 hour wants to rally as well. Zcash, what's Zcash doing? Joining the rest of the party. Again, was certainly on the more bearish side as far as the majors go, but this one, it's going to catch the wind of the rest of the market. Next move up to 68 and a quarter, I'd imagine. Weekly still looks bad, but Yeah, if you can march it back up to 68 and a quarter, that it's going to start to change around some things. It's overall just going to follow the rest of the market. Is my point. It's not going to go into free fall while the rest of the market's moving up and around like crazy. Okay, let's go over to Bcash. Bcash, one of the stronger alts, and okay, hit our target of 380. Nicely done, Mr. Bcash. I do think that this one does break this next resistance, and we move actually much higher, probably towards 590. Over time, of course, this is a more higher time frame target, but weekly looks good. Weekly looks good for a shot to $500. Overall, I see a lot of positive things here. Definitely one of the stronger alts. Again, not a commentary on the fundamentals of this, but as far as charts go, definitely one of the better charts. Tron Cash, again, gonna catch wind of the rest of the market, rallying off of our 200 simple moving average right over here. Not really too much else to say about it other than that it is on the weaker side as far as things relatively go, but gonna rally up here as well. I'd imagine back over to 2.72. Neocash, same thing, rallying off support at 840, hit the target there, and I do think that the next target is going to be $11. EOS Cash, next short-term target 590, longer term probably back up towards, let's see, this area right here would make about sense. We have a couple areas of interest here. The big one is going to be the uppermost at 674, but 628 will also be a little bit of resistance as well. Again, on the stronger side as far as the alts go, weekly looking good as well for continuation overall. Let's see, what about Mr. Ripple Me Nipples? There we go. Okay, so I had a target of 31.5 cents. We hit that, and we actually overshot it by ton. Nicely done, Mr. Ripples. And I do think that this one tries higher. This was a buy right here at 31 cents, and we're probably going to march our way on towards 35-ish cents. Again, this is why I do not like being short Ripple in this range. Until it actually breaks, you're just going to end up in the pile of wrecked traders trying to short Ripple before it's the appropriate time. Yeah, weekly probably wants some more continuation as well. I'd say 35 cents looks about right. Daily looks good to me. What about Mr. Monero? Definitely one of the stronger alts as well. Certainly on the stronger side. Hitting our $81 target. I do think that this one breaks this next level and actually marches up towards 87.5. Let's see, what about Stellar? Stellar hitting the 10.5 cent target. Nice, and I do think that this one's actually going to march on higher towards 11.5 cent. Where's the next resistance? Actually right here. Right here. So 11.25. All right, 11.25 is going to be my next target. But overall, I think that it actually, I think that it does do higher. 11, almost 12 cents, we'll call it. Almost 12 cents. Everything, you can kind of see a a trend going on here. Everything's kind of moving together. Let's go check out traditional markets, as I do want to talk about this before they open up for the week. And here's the thing. Here's the thing with traditional markets right now. Oh, nice. My position's looking a little bit better now. It's trading at 72.69, 72.66. Okay, so I'm probably gonna scalp a little bit of that. As I do want to realize some. But overall, let me just make sure. Okay, we're good over there. All right, great. Yeah. So traditional markets right now. This is what I'm actually quite concerned with, because traditional markets put in what appears to be a top right here, at least a local high. And here's the thing, going over to the daily, I do think that lower time frames do bounce higher. We probably do work our way back up to 291 and test this area out. 291 to 292.5-ish area would be where I'm looking towards, but the weekly does look, does look kind of nasty. So the only way that I get bullish on this once again is if we actually move back above and take out 294 spot 95. If we can do that, then yes, I do get bullish on this for a move much higher. It's just not going to be a fake out if that's going to happen. But right now, based off the weekly and based off the monthly, I do think that lower targets are probably warranted. 297 from a monthly perspective, weekly perspective, we pretty much already bounced off of it. But my point is that lower time frames, yes, I do want to bounce up. I would be bullish on them, bouncing back up to maybe 290, 291, 292, and then higher time frames probably do come back down. And I would like to see a test somewhere down around here, like 279, 278. What was the monthly again? Monthly was 279, but that'll be variable. Yeah, so it'll change around a little bit. Anyways, So yeah, what I'd be calling on this one again, lower time frames bounce up, higher time frames, it's gonna be highly delicate. If we see a rejection in this region, then yes, the next target is gonna be all the way down here, somewhere right around 278. We'll call it. If we do take out this region, 294 and a half, we'll call it 29, or let's just call it 295. It's closer. Then yes, I'd be looking for a continuation overall to the upside, and there's no real target with it, but it would imply that actually Bitcoin does go majorly bullish as well. Because here's the thing: these two have been trading together quite well for the past 5 years, I'd say. Putting on a line chart for Bitcoin in the background, we do see. Let me just put this on log scale really quick. We do see that both were essentially putting in a correction during the years of 2014, 2015, the bear market for Bitcoin. And then once 2016 happened, both were on about a 3-year rally towards 2018, 2019, right over here, where Bitcoin topped a little bit before SPY topped right over there. But after that, let me put this now not on log scale. After that, they put in their tops at the same time, then they both put in these spike lows at the same time, then they both rally back up at the same time, then back down at the same time, and then Bitcoin went into a sideways consolidation, SPY goes into about an upwards consolidation, and then they both break down gloriously at the same time right over here. And holy shit, I'm so glad I just got out of that position because Bitcoin just rallied back up all the way to my entry. Yeah, so okay, so sorry, just losing my train of thought as I go into the computer. Coming down all the way to this area, putting their lows pretty much to the day at the same time, and since then they've actually been moving up together as well. So here's the thing: if SPY actually does confirm a local top here, and we do move down, much farther, what does that imply for Bitcoin? Well, historically speaking, that would imply that Bitcoin, puts in a top here as well. And then the games begin once again. That also implies, by the same token, if SPY does take out the prior high, then we probably see Bitcoin fall to the upside as well and make new highs alongside that. So that's a thing. And I know that crypto anarchists really do not like to hear these sorts of things, but that has been the trend so far. That has been the trend, and there's no sense in fighting that, just because, at the end of the day, they're both risk-on assets. As far as I'm concerned right now, on this day in April 12th of 2019, Bitcoin's still a risk-on asset. It's not really used for too much. And yes, I do believe in it long-term. Yes, I think that I can get some of those like crazy, absurd numbers long-term. But for myself, and I think most people out there, it's still a risk-on asset. So with that said, it does trade with these traditional markets, because not only that, but because as Bitcoin gets more and more popular and more institutions, work their way into this realm, it does, offer up the potential for all these people to be performing all sorts of like crazy and very complicated forms of arbitrage between all these different markets, because it does exist. And so you get this leeway between these assets for that reason. And that's why you see a lot of these things move in a similar fashion over time, just by being, being in that same sort of category. Anyways, with that said, let's go on over and check out Dixie as well. How did Dixie do this week? Yeah, Dixie actually came down this week. Dixie to me, it looks like it's gonna get stifled on this rally. I don't think that it salvages itself here. I think that's actually gonna go down. Holy shit, man! I'm really fucking glad I took profit on that profit. Jesus Christ. Bitcoin okay, so from the time that I mentioned that Bitcoin was back below 72 to the time right now, which has been like 3 minutes, Bitcoin rallied like $60 to $70. Jesus. All right, so there you go. Nice little scalp for a Sunday morning. But overall, looking at this, Dixie also has been contrary to Bitcoin's direction ever since 2016, right over here. Bitcoin going into a 3-year bull run, Dixie going into a 3-year slump. Then Dixie puts in a low right here, Bitcoin puts in a low right over here. They've been contrary ever since. So if Dixie does turn down, that actually would be interpreted good for Bitcoin. But it is still up in the air. I mean, technically speaking, we are still above all major moving averages here. So it is hard to be a little bit bearish, but it does look to me like this breakout is a fake out. We're actually going to come back down and probably base once again at 96.3-ish area. Going over to the weekly, where would that put us out on the 21? Yeah. What about the monthly? Monthly still looks okay, but I don't like that monthly stocks are starting to turn down right now. Yeah, again, not so tangible right here. Anyways, okay, back on to Mr. Bitcoin. Holy fucking shit, man. There's another $10. My God. Oh, and if you're wondering how I actually close that position, I have another computer on my right-hand side, so I can do things really, really fast when I need to do it, mainly with regards to my main account. Anyways, okay, all right. So, what else do we want to talk about? I think I've covered just about everything. Yeah, Bitcoin almost about 7,400 now. So let's see. Let's go back on over here to this chart. I'm curious where this trend line's coming in around officially. So this trend line's gonna be coming in right around 74.90ish area. So if we do work our way back up there, maybe I try that trade again. Maybe it turns into another scalp. But like you saw, you know, that turned around very, very quickly. That turned around very quickly. So do have to be very fast if you are going to take these trades. And like I said, this is why I like to do the trades now on recorded videos, not live videos, just because, well, one, it's like safer from a legal standpoint, right? But also just because it's important to see how, you know, how these things go through the, you know, go through the motions. So going back onto Bitcoin, the reason why I close this is because basically this looks constructive, but what about the 30-minute? Yeah, 30-minute coming back down in this region. That was a buy right there. We got down to 72.86 on spot. I closed my position at what? 73 even. So yeah, about a $30 to $40 scalp. Alrighty, not bad. Well, better than getting fucked with a $100 dildo. I'll tell you that. Anyways, let's see. Do we have any sort of insight in the price action right here? 4 hour looks like it wants continuation. 8 hour looks like it wants continuation. 12 hour looks like it wants continuation. 10 hour looks like it wants continuation. Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, Bitcoin looking good right here. Bitcoin looking good. I'll probably try another trade out somewhere right around this region though. Probably somewhere right around this region. Now that also offers up another easy way to manage risk. If we do close an hourly dildo above this region, about 70, let's just call it 7,500, then probably at that point it's probably safe to flip long towards a move towards 8,000ish area. Anyways, okay, I think I've spoken enough on this video. Perhaps let me just make sure that I've covered everything that I want to speak about. Spoke about Dixie, spoke about traditional markets, spoke about CMEs, spoke about spot. Oh yeah, let's talk about the monthly for a second on Bitcoin. Alrighty, here's monthly. Bitcoin, again, this is the beauty of using moving averages on higher time frames, and this is why I put a lot of weight on the 21 exponential on the monthly. You can see that right over here, and for the people who've been viewing this channel for the past 4 months, it started right over here when Bitcoin was flirting around the green 55 exponential moving average, which as soon as Bitcoin took it out to the upside, that was when we knew it's likely to work its way deep into the 4,000s. Well, that didn't just happen. We worked our way up into the 5,000. So the power of the higher time frames. Not only that, but, you know, once we regain the 21 exponential moving average, that's what I like to say is kind of like my trigger for being generally bullish or generally bearish over a longer period of time. And as you can see, Bitcoin taking it out to the upside, and, well, don't really have any targets with this, but I would be looking at this 7,700-ish region as a little bit of area of resistance. So, again, keeping that in my mind's eye, I would be looking at this whole area right here as a little bit of area of fuckery, but remember, it's a long day between now and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which we're not going to only be closing the weekly, which there's no real like major things on a weekly. I mean, I guess just dealing with this prior high right over here, but also the 3-day, which is where I'm looking at this 200 simple right here. That's the next big actionable trade for me. If we end above the 200 simple, I will actually start a long. I'll have some resting bids right around 7,100 to start to begin a long. If we end below the 200 simple, then I'll probably take a short targeting into the mid 6,000s most likely. So for right now, Bitcoin's still lower time frames, actually, you know, quite constructive. I mean, it's hard to argue against this right here. Shit, I mean, even, you know, even the selling right, or sorry, even this dildo right here was mainly buy. I mean, this was buying. This is all buy volume. You know, it's this one right here, this pullback, not too crazy selling or anything like that. So again, I would be a little bit more agnostic here. Anyways, that preliminary trade, oh well, you know, turns into a little bit of a scalp in an early morning, no problem. But more importantly, the next trade once again staring me in the face. So that's what I'll wrap it up with right now. Like I said, just kind of wrapping it up right here. This is all that I'm concerned with, the 200 simple and the 3-day dildo time frame. Do we end above? If we end above, then I am looking to be a buyer anywhere around 7,100, targeting to move towards 8,000 to 8,200. If we end below, if we close this next 3-day dildo below 7,100, or it's really like 70, 72, then I'll be targeting a move down into the mid 6,000s most likely. I do think that it is a little bit more likely that we actually do not take this out on the first pass, but it's again, I don't trade my opinion, I trade technical analysis. So if we do end above it, I will take longs, and I will be targeting actually much higher. And at that point, we do have to realize, what this is going to do to the overall picture. The second that Bitcoin gets above this area right over here, this hump right over here, about 7,700 to 7,800, we actually have higher highs. As far as I'm concerned, I mean, some people might want to be using the wick. In that case, it'd be 8,500, but I don't think that that's really necessary here. What I think is more appropriate is just going off the dildo body, as that would be quite significant if we actually do even take this area out from a higher time frame perspective, as will, in my opinion, have a higher high. First higher high in over a year and a half now. It's been a while, man. It's been a long time. So again, this would be the first higher high. Now we'd still have to set a higher low, but overall, that would be the next, one thing at a time, right? It's a monthly, so it's going to take its time. Of course, all time frames below a monthly are massively bullish. But yeah, that's essentially going to do it again today. Again, just kind of wrap it up here. 3-day dildo time frame, just using the 200 simple to take trades off right now. If we go down to the lower time frames, do we even have bearish divergence here? Not really. Not really. We actually don't. Even on a 4 hour, like what about an hourly? Probably will have someone an hourly, but yeah, not a huge deal. 2 hour, no bearish divergence on a 2 hour either. Yeah, man. Again, Bitcoin very, very strong right now. So, like I said, this does feel like it's kind of like the last attempt on this rally. Which these parabolic runs, you never know where they actually get you. They always go higher than you think. But this I'll be managing my trade for later today. So I'll probably wait for this one to close. I'll take that scalp and just kind of take my money and run. If we end above the 200 simple, getting long at 7,100. If we end below, probably looking for a short down in the 6,000s. Anyways, that's going to do it for today. Been an absolute pleasure to speak with you on this lovely Sunday. Again, another faceless video. Sorry about that, but still in the process of moving. We'll be back for Tuesday. House is walking into walls right now. They're very difficult. So with that said, I'm going to leave you off. Wish you another happy Sunday afternoon or morning or evening, wherever you might be in this world. And take care.